Mike, you're watching Spiritual Combat, and the title of today's show is Moving Closer to World War III. And I did a show a couple months ago on the same topic, just covering the latest events that are unfolding. And I mean, man, we are on a clear path to World War III. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but you can definitely see that we are on a direct path to a, a world war, in the last world war. Um, so anyway, let's go over what's some of the events that have been unfolding and see what's been going on. And let's go. We'll go with this one first. And this is, we're going to talk about, a lot of this is going to be about Russia. So this is Putin, and he's done a couple press conferences. He's addressed the UN, and he has been giving warnings. But the media is not. I noticed they're not putting them out there. Okay, and I think the reason why they're purposely kind of trying to keep all this stuff that's going on in the background and trying to, they got the election and all this other stuff that has people's attention, like people completely unaware of what's going on here. And I think the reason behind that is they wanted to get to the point where Putin does something, attacks something, launches a missile or does something. So now we have an excuse to say, hey, we're going to war with them, But what's going on is we're poking at him, doing little things that are poking at him, trying to make him react. So we have a reason to wipe him off the map or whatever goes down. I mean, that's what I'm looking at now. You got to know all this is Bible prophecy, but that's what it looks like we're trying to do as America. So anyway, let's go to this news article. It says Putin, and this is what he said. He says, we know when U.S. will get new missile threatening Russian nuclear capability. And what he's talking about here, we've put so-called defense missiles in the countries that border Russia. And what he's saying is he knows that we could easily turn them into offensive missiles, and that would give us first strike capability. I mean, if I'll pull up this map here, you can see. Okay, so here's Russia here. One of the countries, I think we have them in Romania. So that's right there. And some of the other countries that are bordering, Russia. And, that would give us, that's just from right here to here. That give us first strike capability on them. So, that makes them nervous. And, understandably so. So we're doing that, and we're building our forces up there. So what he's saying is it'd be nothing for us to, just switch them, and make them offensive missiles that can strike them, So, and he's giving warning about that. Another thing going on is you got North Korea. Missile reaches new heights, intensifying threat to Japan, making Japan nervous. And North Korea is an ally of Russia. Of course, South Korea is our ally. So, and they're pushing hard with their program to become a nuclear capable, country. And they're pushing hard with that. So everybody, people are pushing, to get their nuclear programs going. Okay. Now, this was a very interesting video. And in this video, basically Putin again, he's warning that, look, the U.S. is flexing on us. You know, he's saying you know, he's warned. He's in this video. He's basically, like it said, like the title says, he's warning the world. Hey, y'all need to back off. Everybody's flexing this, that, and the other. So, and there's a couple videos of him warning. Matter of fact, you could just go on YouTube and check a bunch of them out, where he's warning people. Look, you guys are flexing. You're doing this, that, and the other. Matter of fact, here, we'll watch this video right here showing what I'm talking about. And what it's saying is just NATO is flexing, building up forces, running these exercises right on the bordering countries of Russia, and basically trying to make them nervous, and I just retired from the Air Force, from the Air National Guard, but the Air National Guard is taking. It's like they're not really doing anything to be an Air National Guard of our country. They're out doing stuff overseas now, and they're directly involved in this in like the exercises they're doing over there in Russia, over there near Russia now. I mean, that's like a direct part of some of the stuff they do now. So, I mean, this thing's real. I have an inside, I've seen the inner workings of this thing. I have insider information on it, all that. So the thing's real. I remember a couple years ago, because I've been in 20 years, I retired, but my whole time in, our primary training, like the exercises we would do, everything was geared towards a Middle Eastern campaign. Well, a couple of years ago, they changed it to a European campaign, and that was like a big deal. And of course, all those dudes I work with, they're so sucked into the media and society and all the stuff that's put out there, the TV shows and everything, all the distractions, that it just went right over their head. They didn't even think it was a big deal. I knew exactly what was going on. I went on a military deployment up to North Canada, simulating a rush. They simulated a Russian attack, and our planes were simulating intercepting the Russian planes that would be coming in. I mean, we hadn't done that, and they had in the briefing they said we haven't done this in years, but Russia has reemerged, and they're stronger than they've ever been. They told us. So this thing is real, man. And when you really get a big understanding, hopefully this video will show you that the path is this isn't going to be a skirmish. I mean, this is a build up to something, and it's obvious, what it's heading to. Okay. All right. So let's watch this one.
Your Honors, in this venue, I announce my separation from the United States.
Okay, and what that is the president of the Philippines. And as you heard, he announced his separation from the United States. He was in China. So, as you know, China is an ally of Russia. And the Philippines are now, basically, he's saying hey, I'm playing on their team. So he's allied up with Russia and China now. And that's what you're seeing. That line is being drawn. They're picking teams for World War III. you know. So that's what you see. People are choosing sides, and that's how it goes down. Um, okay, this happened, I think, last week or the week before, but largest Russian military deployment since Cold War passes through British waters en route to crush Aleppo. So Russia deployed a whole bunch of, their battleships and Navy fleet, a huge deployment of them. They were saying it was like their whole Western fleet, or majority of their Western fleet. They sent it down there to the Middle East. Okay, that's a big deal. You didn't really hear anything about it on the news. You're hearing about Kim Kardashian and, how big her butt is now, or whatever they're talking about with her. And you're hearing about the presidential elections, but you're not hearing about this. And this is the biggest story of the past 10 years. These are the biggest stories, the biggest events, but they're purposely not putting it out there. They want it to be a big surprise. Okay. And this the other thing. See, this is the same story, just another news agency, and it's the BBC here. It says Russia's naval task force, power play or just theater? Like, so are they acting or no? This is a buildup to World War III, and a lot of people are trying to play it down. Oh yeah, they're just beating their chest. This happens all the time. This was some of the people at my job were saying when I was telling them this, they were saying, oh yeah, they're just beating their chest, this, that, and the other. Nah, this thing is real, Okay. So let me pull up this video.
Мой вопрос был не только...
Okay. And we're not gonna watch this whole video. I'm just I'll just tell you, because I watched the whole thing. It's pretty interesting. This is a very interesting video because, you got to really look into it. And Putin, he used to be a KGB agent, so he's not dumb. Okay, and in this video, basically, what that interviewer asked him was, why can't we get along with, the U.S. and what's the problem, this, that, and the other? It was a good question. But Putin's answer was very interesting, okay? Where he said, he said, with the U.S., he said the U.S. was established by basically one of the greatest genocide in modern history, possibly human history. He was like, that's how the U.S. was established. And then they murdered, they had slavery and oppressed a whole, that whole thing there. And then he said in World War II, they dropped the nuclear bomb on two cities on the civilians. Instead of using their military to go to war and beat them conventionally, they opted that way. So basically what he was saying is he knows how dirty the U.S. can be. And basically he don't play. He knows that they'll do some dirty stuff. They don't care. They'll do whatever it takes, whatever. And he said that's his mindset too. So that's a big deal because he continually says in his video, he's warning that, hey man, I'll let these missiles fly, and it's like we try to write him off. Oh, he just talking junk. He just doing political stuff. He just, the news try to kind of be dismissive of him, but he's not playing around. Okay. And and that is you can see how this thing is gonna go down, All right. So let me see what else we got here. So yeah, you can see how it goes down. We keep trying to write them off. Oh, it's not really that. But then after the war, after World War III is over, this is going to be the beginning. Oh, that was how it all started. We're past the beginning of World War III, the events that kicked it off. I think we're past those events. After the war is over and they look back, they'll be like, oh, so that's, these are what led up to everything. All right. So take this into mind. Now watch this. All right. This is Hillary Clinton back in 2008. All right. Now listen to what she's talking about.
Was if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. And I want them to understand that.
You see? So, and a lot, and Hillary, she looked like a nice old woman, but she no joke. She ready to, get this thing going too. Whoever they get in there. But, it's looking like it's going to be Hillary. So when she gets in there, you could expect a war. You could expect something to pop off. I mean, I don't see us going in the other direction. It's like we going full speed into this thing. Okay. Now, again, what I was saying earlier, they try to cover up the fact that we poke things and we're meddling and stuff and messing with things and like this article here shows exactly what I'm talking about, where we're basically already at war or in the early stages of the war, or definitely in the steps leading up to it. So check this out. It says plans to send heavier weapons to CIA-backed rebels in Syria stall amid White House skepticism. Okay. And, you saw in that one debate, like nobody really even knows what's going on over there in Syria. Like who's fighting who? Is it ISIS? Is it the rebels? Is it Al Qaeda? Is it who's fighting who? Who's on what side? Who's bombing what? Russia knows they're over there bombing the rebels and ISIS to keep their guy Assad in power. They want him in power. We don't. But again, it's like we call it the air, like I was saying, the Air National Guard, the Department of Defense. All these agencies have these names, but they're misleading names, because why are we over there messing with him, trying to get him out of power? And, because the CIA is backing the rebels and the Russians are bombing the rebels. So we're in a proxy war with Russia. I mean, we're basically at war with them now through these so-called rebels, but the so-called rebels are special forces people. You know what I'm saying? So, why are we, leave them alone. Who cares? Why are you trying to get him out of power? Well, the reason why they're trying to get him out of power, let's go to the map, is because you got some key areas like Iraq look at it, it's central to everything in the Middle East. It's right in the middle. It's like a key area. Same with Syria. It's a key area. It's central in that area. Okay. It has a port, access to the water. Okay. Same thing with Iraq, access to the water here. But main thing with Iraq is that it's just central to this whole thing right here. It's just right in the middle of the Middle East. Okay. Same thing, Afghanistan. It's a key area because look, it backs up to China. It kind of is where, Russia would have to come through or whatever. Iran is a huge of huge importance. Plenty of access to the water, and it's centrally located. But yeah, Syria is, we want that under our, we want to get Assad out and put a president or a government in there that's conducive to what we want in that region, and that's how we don't straight up invade countries anymore. We do it more in a covert way by trying to put in governments that do our will. Syria is they're allies with Russia. Assad, he's allied with them. Same thing with Iran, allied with Russia. Pakistan and India, I'm not sure which is which. I think Pakistan is kind of more allied with Russia and India is more with us. I'm not sure. But trust me, everybody's going to be picking sides. They're going to have to pick which team they want to be on here soon. Okay? But that's why we're in there, meddling around in there and why we even care, because there's plenty of world leaders or leaders out there of countries who are doing way worse things and way eviler things to their people of their country. But because there's no resource or interest in the location of the area, it's not a strategic land, or they don't have resource we want, we could care less, But so anyway, what happened? The CIA wanted to send more artillery and weapons over there to Syria to back these rebels, so that they could continue to fight and get Assad out of power. And like you saw, Russia sending all those ships out there and sending more of its military forces to the Middle East, and what happened, they said they put a proposal to do that, but the proposal is just kind of sitting in limbo right now, because the Obama administration is kind of like, well, do we need to do this? And but Obama's on his way out. And you heard Hillary talking, hey, she ready to blow something up too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. That was on the 23rd. It's the 26th now. So we'll see. We'll see how that thing goes. But, my thing is, leave them people alone. Because now you got all they refugees coming over there. Look at it. Let me show you this. This is what it looks like over there in that city. Pull the video up. It's just blown up. A lot of stuff is destroyed, been hit with bombs, So, and all them people done left, and they coming in our country, okay? Because we over there meddling around. So now the whole, everybody, you got all these refugees all over the place. Leave them alone. But no, what they're about is they want control of that region, So, all right, let's see what else we got. All right. So this article here pretty much says exactly what I've been saying. It says, while you were focused on The Walking Dead, that sitcom, NATO and U.S. Marines prep for Russian war. It says posturing about a fictitious Russian threat will be remembered in later times for bringing about World War III. So that's how they try to write it off, particularly as that narrative has allowed NATO and the United States to extensively bolster troops and military equipment along Russia's eastern and northern European borders. Okay, so it's exactly what I'm saying. They try to the narrative they try to paint on the news. What they try to say is, oh, they're just flexing, they're just beating their chest. They ain't gonna do nothing. You know, we just flexing. You know, we just doing an exercise. But what they're doing is building up for World War III. Okay, and they don't want you watching and following all this stuff because they know that if you watch and see all this stuff, your mindset's gonna be, why don't the U.S. just back off and let them do what they do? You know, we already broke enough now. Why are we aggravating these situations that really ain't got nothing to do with us? We're creating refugees, all that stuff like that. And so they know that if you're thinking like that when the war kicks off or Russia attacks or something happens, you're not going to be as behind and for the U.S. as they need you to be. So they know if they keep it on the low and then all of a sudden Russia attacks us for no reason, they bombed our ship and sank it, well, they know your mindset's going to be, oh, well, we need to go get them. We got to go. We got to fight for the U.S. You know, that's the mindset they want you in. So that's why they're keeping it on the low. They're not really talking too much about it and everything like that, you know. And when I say they, I shouldn't even say they. Satan, because Satan's pulling all the strings on this stuff. And he's working right with Bible prophecy, just as God laid out in the Bible, you know. So he's pulling the strings on this thing and making this thing escalate, and it's going to escalate just like, and, you know, it's going to be World War III. All right, so now let's get into some real interesting stuff, okay? Atomic hell. Vladimir Putin's Satan nukes would wipe out America's East Coast in minutes should World War III break out, experts warn, okay? And, you know, that's the Satan missile. That's one launching, okay? And basically this missile, it carries like 8 warheads, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes here of why these missiles are so destructive, so you can understand what we're really dealing with. But let's go on to the next article. It says Russia unveils new super nuke, the Satan II, which could destroy Britain twice over. So it has a new nuclear missile out. Okay. Now let's get into how powerful these things are and how they work briefly. The way a these ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, the way they work, you see in this little illustration here. Okay, it launches from the ground, or some of them, a submarine can launch them also from the water. They come out of the water. They go through their initial booster phase to get up to speed. So you see this booster, which is booster A, drops off. Then it keeps on, you know, that first stage drops off. Then the second stage kicks in. Second stage drops off. And then this third stage brings it up to its orbital altitude. And when it's in orbit, it goes into outer space. And when it's in outer space, there's less drag. You don't have the air and the atmosphere dragging it. So this thing can get up to over 10,000 miles an hour. So these missiles can launch from one side of the Earth and get to its target on the other side in less than a half hour. Okay? And when you break all that down, man, by the time the missile launches, okay, Cheyenne, the place over there, Cheyenne Mountain, I forget what it's called, but they pick it up that there's been a missile launch. You know, nobody's been notified of this thing being launched. they put the warning out. The warning goes out to D.C. or whatever. Then D.C. lets the local news. Then they do the public address system. By then, you're talking about maybe 10, 15 minutes have passed. Okay. The warning goes out to to the news stations, to all the communication stuff, public address system. They put the warning out. So now 15 minutes. Okay. So you're at home, you get the warning. By then, you either jump in your car or bunker down somewhere or whatever, if you caught it in time, and you're looking at 20 minutes. So 20 minutes have passed. That thing is headed to you. Okay. So it's pretty quick. Anyway, so this stage here drops off. Okay. And these are the warheads on it. Okay. Multiple warheads. And so the warheads come off, and these warheads, some of these warheads are real. Some of them are dummy warheads, and they're meant to where if you have a defense system, and let me preface it with this: when they launch these missiles, they're not going to launch one missile. They're going to launch 60 or 70 of these damn missiles at our country. Okay. And so you go 70 times, these things can contain 8 to 12 warheads. And that's what's declassified that we know. I'm sure they got them with bigger warheads than that. But anyway, it's going to overwhelm your defense system. Some of these will be duds. Some of them will be real. And then they start slamming into the ground, and we'll go into what you get after that. Okay, this is what the warheads look like. I had a buddy when I was in the Air Force. He worked on these, and he told me a lot of interesting stories about them. Okay, they're no joke though. But these are the warheads. Okay, like I said, and this is they call it the delivery device or entry engine. I forget what they call it, but this is what they mount to, and then a big cone, a big dome shaped thing goes over this. That's the top of it. Let's see. This piece right here goes over those warheads. Okay. But so that's what goes over it. And it's no joke. So let's get into the power of these things. Okay. This Satan 2 that Russia has unveiled, the warhead on it can, you could either put 8 warheads on it, or you could put one big, huge warhead on it that can be up to 25 megatons. Okay. And that is big. And just to give you an illustration of how big and powerful that is, what we're going to do, we're going to go to Washington, D.C. Okay. So I'll pull up Washington, D.C. here on a map. It's a yield map. It's going to show you the yield of this weapon. Okay. And we're going to put in 25. We're going to put in 25 megatons, because that's what it is, a megatons. And we're going to explode it on this map. We're going to explode it over, we're going to detonate it over DC. We're going to do an air burst. The difference is an air burst is going to, when you explode a nuclear bomb in the air, it also releases an electromagnetic pulse. And what that is a strong burst of electrical energy that will knock out anything electrical. It'll burn it out for miles. Okay. So the other thing, you get a stronger blast and you get less fallout. Now, I'll get into that later. But anyway, if it blew up over DC, this would be the devastation. Okay. This yellow part is a fireball. Okay. This red part is the air blast radius. But anyway, the let me see. This gray part here is the air blast radius. Okay. And so this is what the air blast radius looks like. This is a video of what an air blast radius, what the air blast looks like. Okay. That's it right there. That's the air blast. That's the thing that knocks down all the buildings and see, that's the air blast right there. It'll knock buildings down. It's like a Category 5 hurricane or bigger, you know. But that is the air blast, okay? And that gray part is the radius, okay? So basically all DC would be gone, okay? Now this right here, the thermal radiation, anybody within this area, and this basically goes from Baltimore all the way down to Fredericksburg. I really don't know this area that good, but anyway, this this thermal radiation radius, anybody within this area would get 3rd-degree burns. Okay. So, I mean, that is no joke. Okay. Now, let me show you something else. Now, if it was so that was an airburst. If it was a surface blast where the bomb actually hits the ground, what you have is fallout. So what happens when a nuclear bomb hits the ground and explodes, you see all that dust and all the dust and ash and everything it burns up goes up into that big nuclear cloud. And it gets radiated. And I'll explain what radiation actually is in a little while, but it gets radiated and then it falls back down to the ground and it's radioactive. And they call that fallout. And let me show you what the fallout effect would be. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now this would be the fallout effect based on the wind, okay? It would go all the way up to Maine, depending on how the wind's blowing and the wind direction. It could go all the way out to almost to Kansas City. It go all the way down to Miami almost. It definitely get close to Jacksonville, Atlanta, okay? That's 125 kiloton blast. Now, like I said, some of these weapons have like they'll have 8 warheads. This is one big massive warhead, but a lot of them will have an 8 like 500 kiloton warheads on it. It'll have 8 of them. So we'll detonate it, and so I'll show you the effects of that. That one would still wipe out DC, okay? And the fallout would go up to New York City, and it would extend down to North Carolina, to Charlotte, all the way down to Charlotte from DC. You know, if the fallout went west, it'd go out to Pittsburgh and stuff like that. So these things are no joke, man. These things are destructive. And like I said, that is what is declassified that we do know about. Okay. The biggest bomb ever detonated is called the Tsar bomb, and Russia detonated it, and that was the biggest one ever detonated. So they can make, and they've said they can make them huge. And what we know that's declassified is what I'm showing you. You know, we got stuff, and that they got stuff that is classified. For instance, China's whole nuclear program and the number of nuclear weapons they have is a national secret. You know, they don't let anybody know. But this is a SAR bomb. That so if it is detonated, and let's see the fallout. Okay, let me see. So the fallout on that one, you see what I'm saying? Would go way past Maine. It go way into Canada. It go way down to Miami. It go out past Kansas City, go to Dallas, Texas, okay? If it was detonated in Washington, D.C., okay? And that would be 100 megaton bomb. I heard that Russia back, and this is back in after World War II, during the Cold War, they proposed a design of like a 250 megaton bomb. And they also had plans to make a bomb that was going to be on a barge in the water that could destroy the whole entire world. So there you go. And they have a policy. The policy is called MAD. We have it. It's our policy on nuclear war. It's called mutually assured destruction. Okay. So it's, if you hit us, we're going to make sure that if I can't have it, ain't nobody getting it. They're going to destroy everything. And the Bible says if Jesus didn't come back when he does, no flesh would survive. So, I mean, and you can see why these people are wicked and crazy. Russia, you're all the leaders of these countries, man. So it's going to take Jesus coming back and destroying all these kingdoms and establishing, our kingdom, the Hebrew kingdom. So anyway, I'm just, keep an eye on these events and what's going on, because this is this is no joke, and you figure even these bombs, that are like, this is an 800 kiloton. I heard, because that Satan bomb and our bombs are Minutemen intercontinental ballistic missiles. Even them, they can go up to 700 kilotons on the warhead, and we could put a single warhead on them that are huge, and that's what's declassified that we know about. But you figure, okay. This right here is a 455 kiloton one. The fallout would almost reach New York. That's just one. I'm talking about they'd launch like 7. It'd be that. I mean, when the nuclear war pops off, it won't be cinematic. I mean, you won't even know what happened. And if you're in a place that doesn't get hit, you still won't know what the heck happened. The only thing you're going to know for at least the next maybe year or so, or however long, only thing you're going to know is that your phone and everything electrical went out and stopped working. That's the only thing you're going to know. You're going to be in the dark. You're going to be in the pre-electricity age. And then some guy, you'll see some person walking through and you're like, hey, what happened? And he's like, oh, yeah, 2 years ago, it was a nuclear war with Russia. You won't know what happened. I mean, after this thing goes down, you won't know what happened to Russia. You won't know what happened, the condition of the U.S. You'll just know that you're trying to survive. Now, it's going to be, it'll definitely be, an interesting thing. So, but anyway, I hope this video was informative. And check out some of my other videos. Share this one, comment. Let me know what you think. Appreciate your comments. And you're watching Spiritual Combat, and have a nice day.